Welcome to the presentation on variables. Numbers can be stored and retrieved while a program is running if they're given a home. The way that integers and decimal numbers are stored in a computer is by declaring a variable. Now that you know what Java's built-in types are, you need to learn how to use those types as variables. A variable is just a name that we use to hold a value and whose value can change. In Java, before we can use a variable, we must declare it. That means you need to tell Java what name you want to use. Remember, you can't use reserved words. And what data type the name should be. When you declare a variable, the computer sets aside a space for it in the working memory on the computer, the RAM, while the computer is running. Once the space is declared, the programmer can assign a value to the variable, change the value, or retrieve the value at any time in the program. Declaring variables. A variable must be declared by specifying the variable's name and the data type of information it will hold. We must declare variables with a statement that includes a type followed by one or more names we want to associate with that type. A variable must be declared by specifying the variable's name and the data type of information it will hold. The programmer chooses the variable name following the rules for identifiers and avoiding using names that are keywords or reserved words. The compiler will produce a syntax error if you try to use a keyword as a variable name. You can declare more than one variable at a time as long as they are of the same data type. Just separate them with commas. You should also notice that the declarations always end with a semicolon. If you forget the semicolon, BlueJ will give you a syntax error. Let's take a look. So here we've declared an int variable and we've named it total. The data type is int, the variable name is total, and we put our semicolon at the end because we're finished with the statement. Here is an example of declaring multiple variables in one statement. Count, temp, and result are all variables of the same data type, int. A variable can be given an initial value in the declaration. When a variable is referenced in a program, its current value is used. So once we've declared our variables, we can use them to store information as long as the information is of the right type. For instance, if our data type is an int, then we must assign a whole number to the variable. If our data type is a char, then we must assign a single letter or character to the variable. If our data type is a Boolean, we must assign a value of true or false. Let's look at some examples. So our first one here, we've got the data type int, we've given it the variable name sum, and we're assigning the value 0 to sum. 0 is a whole number, so we're good. In our second example, we have two variables, base and max, that we're assigning to the data type int. We've given base the value of 32, max the value of 149. They're both ints, so no problem right there. In our third example, we have a double assignment operator 3.25. We've assigned the value 3.25 to average, and it is of type double. Our next example is a char variable. We've named it symbol, and we're assigning it the character B. In our last example, we've got a Boolean, play again. We've given an initial value of false. Assigning a value. An assignment statement changes the value of a variable. The assignment operator is the equal symbol, but that does not mean equality in Java. Okay, so an equal symbol that we're used to in math means assignment or giving a value to a variable. Here's an example. We're going to assign the variable total the value of 55. The expression on the right is evaluated and the result is stored in the variable on the left. The value that was in total is overwritten. You can assign only a value to variables which are consistent with the variable declared type. Constants. We've talked a little bit about constants already. A constant in Java is a name whose value can't change, so it's a fixed value. We don't use as many constants in programs as we do variables. The main difference is declaring constants in a program is that we use the keyword final to tell Java that once the constant's value is set, it can't change. So a constant is an identifier that's similar to a variable, except that it holds one value the entire time the program is active. The compiler will issue an error if you try to change the value of a constant during execution. In Java, we use the final modifier to declare a constant. So in this example, we've got min height, and you'll see min underscore height is in all caps. That is correct syntax and style for a constant. We've used the final modifier. It's of data type int, and we've given a value of 69. Min height will have the value of 69 throughout the entire program. Constants give names to otherwise unclear literal values. They facilitate updates of values used throughout a program, and they prevent inadvertent attempts to change a value. This concludes our presentation on variables.